Hi everybody, welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Terry Stiles with Jim Hughes.
And I'm Terry Stiles, and yes, that can only mean one thing. If we're together, it's Oxford News This Week. Were they too fast to appoint a brand new member? And Oxford Village gets much needed funding.
All that and more, the Oxford News begins right now.
Well, the Addison Township Board in July meeting was posted as a light agenda topic. Extensive public discussion about a partial replacement for Charles Sargent's trustee seat became heated, and an extended meeting longer than expected by the board. 3 people submitted applications for that seat following the death of Trustee Sargent, but before the candidate could make their plea to the board, Trustee Brakefield motioned to approve former trustee Jacob Newby to fill the seat, which was approved by 4-2 without discussion. And after the vote, audience members voiced their disapproval of the process, stating that it was a hasty one, calling the situation a dictatorship. Having been voted in at 19 years old, Newby was a trustee for his full term before running for the treasurer position in 2019. Newby was beat out by the current treasurer, Lori Fisher, who voted no in his new assignment. Terry.
Last week, the Village of Oxford Council had a special meeting to request and accept nearly $380,000 of American Rescue Plan Act funds from the state of Michigan. Signed into law in March 2021, the federal funds will allow governments to use federal monies to pay for work, assistance, services, and infrastructure improvements related to the pandemic. The Act states allocated money cannot be used to offset lost tax revenue or for pensions. Jim?
It was a hot, humid Saturday at Seymour Lake Park, Township Park. The weather didn't stop, though. Nearly 40 people from showing up to honor former Oxford Township Parks and Rec Commissioner Chair Rick Laidler. With the dedication of the new park pavilion, Laidler, his wife, their children, and grandchildren came from out of state for this dedication, serving on the commission for 24 years. Laidler was a chairman for 20. Congratulations to the well-deserved honor. Terry.
A 28-year-old woman was taken into custody in the village of Leonard last week in connection to a hit-and-run fatality in Lapeer County. According to Oakland County Sheriff, detectives responded to a call of a damaged vehicle swerving all over the roadway. Meanwhile, a 59-year-old Metamora man was discovered on the side of the road, injured, along with his 2 dogs in Metamora. He was out walking his 2 dogs in that morning. According to the Lapeer County Sheriff's detectives, a gas station worker discovered the man and his dogs. Both dogs were dead. Detectives linked to the woman as a person of interest based on the piece of dark gray Chevrolet Malibu side mirror, which was found at the accident scene. Officers expect to take the case to the county prosecutor later this week. Jim?
Sad story.
Yeah.
The Addison Township Public Library's new building project has cleared another hurdle in Congress. Lisa Slotkin's request for a $500,000 grant from Congress, the United States House Appropriations Committee, included the project in its 2022 Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development Funding Bill, which passed 32-24 in that vote. The bill now heads to the House for consideration. Library Director Jema Berman said she was humbled by that. Members of Congress submitted the funding proposal to be considered. Addison is among 10 projects requested by Representative Alyssa Slotkin in the Michigan 8th District. If approved, $500,000 will get to the library. The rest on the way of its $1.3 million goal to build a 5,000 square foot brand new facility. Terry?
At a recent Oxford Township Library Board meeting, board members were presented with an upcoming capital improvement bond election schedule for November 2nd, 2021. At the first meeting since the Oxford Township Board of Trustees approved the library's proposal for the bond election, Oxford Public Library Friends Secretary Lynn Klages spoke about countering possible misinformation being talked about around town on ways the bond funds would be spent. In terms of expansion, she said the library is too small for its existing use and cannot serve the growing community properly if it remains at its current capacity. Program attendance from 2011 to 2019 went from nearly 5,000 visitors to over 10,000. Regarding the misinformation, she said the upcoming election will be the second time a capital improvement bond has been brought to the voters since the library's last expansion. The first attempts failed by under 50 votes. The two other library fund elections were both for Headley overrides. If approved, whether vote would have returned prior millage taxes rates that have been reduced over time back to their original rates. Currently, it's getting less than 1 mil. The lack of space affects the Adult Services Department ability to provide working and employment-seeking Oxford residents the space and materials to study or freely use the computers. Jim?
Well, I think that's it, actually.
I think so too.
Yeah, there was a lot of news there coming at you. Anyways, hey, that's it for Oxford News this week. And if you'd like more information on these stories and others, catch us on OCTV, Charter, Channel 191, AT&T Channel 99, OCCTV.org, or Oxford Community Television, their Facebook page, and guess what? YouTube pages as well. Or if you call Terry and I, we make them over your house and just read the news in your house.
We can talk to you about it.
Well, we'd like to thank the people of the Oxford Leader, the Oxford Township Facebook page, and the contributions they make in getting our newscast. And anyway, so what's up?
Well, not a whole lot this week. It's been a quiet week. Happy August, everybody.
Somebody's birthday week's happening this week.
Yeah, yours and mine.
Yeah, it's our birthday month, actually. We
Yeah.
consider August. As soon as we hit August 1,
Right.
It's another year on the digits, or whatever you want to call it.
We have 4 people at this studio that are Leos, that are August people,
Really?
August birthdays.
Who are the other two?
Joe Calhoun, most of you have met him already.
Right.
His birthday's, I think, the same week as ours. And Alexis.
Her birthday's in August, really?
Yeah, her birthday's at the end of August, so she's a Leo-ish. So I think she's right on the cusp. So it's pretty. And we had Elgin, he was a Leo.
Oh, wow.
And so was Don Hugerich.
A lot of lions.
So, well, there's a lot. Leos want to partake in the community and they're people. Anyhow, I'm Terry Stiles.
What do they call that?
A psychology review?
I don't know what it's called.
I'm
Anyways,
Terry
hey,
Stiles.
It's my birthday. Watch. Hey, I'm going to tell you, turn on Channel 4 on the 7th of August. You'll see her name up.
And on your birthday, too, which is the 10th.
I had to put my own
the 10th,
in.
I know. Yeah,
That's
thank you
kinda
for
bad.
putting mine in. I appreciate it. And Alexis is at Channel 4, so she'll see it, too. Thanks for watching Oxford News this week, where we bring your news closer to home. Are we done?
I think we are. Good night. Good night.
Thanks, Alex.
One of our biggest problems today is that we are afraid to have others challenge our mindset, and therefore we avoid topics that could lead to challenging conversations. At a young age, we're told not to talk about anything that is remotely divisive. But without having challenging conversations, how do you know that what you're saying is your truth and not just something you were raised to believe? Having conversations is how we learn. It's important to be able to see the other sides of things in order to form an opinion and choose what's best for you. Let's say you were raised to shower with all your clothes on. You can go through life thinking that is the best way to get clean, and if you never meet anyone brave enough to talk about hygiene, then you will never know that there is a better way. There's no reason to be afraid of differences. Limiting yourself to certain topics can render yourself unable to talk to friends, co-workers, or even family. To avoid challenging conversations is the same as to keep your mind trapped in a little box. Open your box. It's an American thing. AmericanThing.org.
Welcome to Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from Automotive News. Many drivers rely on a car's in-dash fuel economy display to show the estimated number of miles the car gets per gallon of gasoline. But those estimates aren't always accurate, according to a July 27th report from the Automobile Association. When it comes to shorter trips, miles to empty estimates vary greatly in tests conducted by AAA and the Automobile Research Center of the Automobile Club of Southern California. Variation also depends on factors affecting gas mileage such as speed and acceleration. AAA says drivers take an unnecessary risk if they overly rely on the displays. Plenty of drivers may already be doing that. About 74% of drivers use those miles to empty estimates to decide when to fill up their gas tank, AAA found in a consumer survey. To calculate the accuracy of a vehicle's fuel economy estimations and miles to empty systems, AAA and the ARC used a dynamometer, an instrument that measures an engine's power output. We ran our test vehicles through different driving situations, ranging from cruising at highway speeds to being stuck in traffic to typical city driving, says Megan McKernan, manager of ARC, in a a release about the research findings. Despite the irregularities, our testing found a vehicle's fuel economy display is an important tool to understand how different driving styles impact how efficiently a vehicle uses fuel. The two organizations found the fuel economy displays of the tested vehicles were off by a relatively low 2.3% when compared with fuel economy measurements reported by the dynamometer. AAA offers these tips for achieving the best fuel economy. Complete multiple errands in one trip, preferably when traffic isn't heavy. And if multiple cars are owned, use the most fuel-efficient model when possible. And avoid hard acceleration. And you should inflate your tires to recommended pressure and remove excess and heavy items from the car interior. Cut down on the use of roof racks and remove carriers when not in use. And minimize the use of air conditioning if possible. AAA says, open windows have less effect on fuel economy than the engine power required to operate the air conditioning compressor. When it's hot, park in shady areas or use a windshield screen to slow heat buildup in the car interior. The level of inaccuracy varied from vehicle to vehicle in the test. In one case, a test vehicle's display overestimated fuel economy by 6.4% or 2.2 miles per gallon. Another test vehicle display underestimated fuel economy by 2.8% or 0.9 miles per gallon. Each car exhibited a different reaction to driving changes, and driving styles and road conditions also influenced accuracy. The accuracy of miles to empty displays also fluctuated across tests. The two organizations concluded that range estimation is affected by vehicles' most recent driving conditions. Those displays can be useful, but they are most accurate when a driver resets the vehicle trip data after filling up the gas tank, according to AAA and the ARC. AAA recommends filling up when the vehicle reaches a quarter of a tank, and we've all been there. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and we'll be right back. Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from New Scientist. Echolocating bats use ultrasound to map out their surroundings at night. That information is fine-grained, helping them to distinguish between the wing cases and a body of a beetle and the wings of a moth. The high frequency of ultrasound generates clearer sonic images than sound in our hearing range would. Be glad bats use it, because they are seriously noisy. A single bat out for a meal screams at about 140 decibels. A human shouting a meter away generates only 90 decibels. This is the kind of extraordinary sensory ability celebrated in Secret Worlds by Martin Stevens at Exeter University in the UK. It's a popular version of his textbook, Sensory Ecology, Behavior, and Evolution, but with important extras. While paying its dues to those amazing abilities of animals, Secret Worlds has some very intriguing things to say about the evolution and plasticity of the senses, and above all, the cost of acquiring them. Stevens presents startling data about the expense involved in sensing the world. For example, a full tenth of the energy used by a blowfly at rest is spent maintaining the photoreceptors in its eyes and associated nerve cells. He also highlights some remarkable energy-saving strategies. For instance, the nocturnal ogre-faced spider from the Australian wilds has such large, sensitive eyes that it must break down its photoreceptors and membranes during the day and regenerate them to hunt at night. Senses are too expensive to stick around when they aren't needed, so they disappear and reappear over evolutionary time. In evolutionary terms, their genetic mechanisms are surprisingly stingy, with the same genetic pathways cropping up often and in unrelated species. While Stephen's main point is nature's parsimony, it's the wonderful extremes that will stick in most minds. For instance, the whiskers of a harbor seal help it to find a buried flatfish using nothing more than the water flow created by the fish's breathing. Even more arresting are the chapters devoted to senses wholly unfamiliar to us. Using their infrared thermal receptors, vampire bats select particular blood vessels to bite into. How nice. Many marine species detect minute amounts of electricity, allowing them to hunt and elude predators and attract mates. As for animals' ability to use the Earth's magnetic field, Stephen reckons it's no exaggeration to say that understanding how it works has been one of the great mysteries in biology. There are two main theories to explain it. One relating to the presence of crystals in the body that react to magnetic fields, and the other to light-dependent chemical processes occurring in the eyes in response to magnetic information. The robin complicates the picture because it seems to boast both systems, one for use in daylight and one for use in the dark. And what of the satellite images of cows and deer that show herds lining themselves up along lines of magnetic force, their heads pointing to magnetic north? One can only hope that Stevens will return with fresh ideas in a few years. Well, that's it for Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny.
There's a hidden problem going on right now in our community. This past year has created tremendous financial stress on families. Many are having to make sacrifices they've never had to face before. Some are even going hungry. But there's also something amazing going on behind the scenes. Samaritan House, the Manna Food Pantry, Capax Kitchen, the Oxford Orion Fish Food Pantry, just to name a few. All of these organizations are powered by an army of volunteers, people who give of their time and their money and other resources so that their neighbors, our area families, don't go hungry. And Four County Community Foundation has been there, behind the scenes, granting these organizations money for equipment and supplies to make this happen for many years. But we realize there's more need than ever before. So today, we're announcing a new fund, Feeding Families Forever. This fund is designed to create an everlasting endowment so that organizations in our community have the resources they need to keep doing their incredible work. One hungry mouth, one meal at a time. Now we're asking for your help. If you're ready to step up and help support us and see that no one ever goes hungry in our area, just follow the link provided and let's feed families forever.
For food security.
For us.
For our community.
For County.
Four County Community Foundation. For us, for our community. Four County.